does Barack Obama view the black community? And how does Michelle Obama feel about the black community? Two very different takes on this. Okay, with Barack Obama is thinking about money and spending and health and food. He think it's like his attitude is black people need to eat better. And if we eat better, we will think better. And we will have our attitudes will feel better. He would like for us to have like more community. He would want for us to think about having community gardens and community grocery stores, and using some of our land to grow our own gardens and making sure that people have good food. In addition to that, he feels like the money that we're investing into our community is not reaching those most needed. He feels like the money that's being invested into our community never reaches those that need it. And he feels like this. He feels like if we could somehow start a community garden and focus on our eating and start thinking about our own economic empowerment, we would start realizing that, and this is right here I'm saying, I'm hearing this, we would start realizing the importance of our own health and the importance of making the right decisions, healthy choices. And it starts with what you put in your body. And it's true, because he sees it as we're poisoning the communities. He's also thinking that, and there's a lot to this. He's also thinking that our money that it's like he's thinking about how much of our money circulates within our community. And he's like, this dollar doesn't circulate long enough in this particular community, and food is one of the major expenses that African Americans spend their money on. And how about we start with reprogramming ourselves to not want this processed and reprocessed foods. I'm also saying that he feels like black people are trapped in a cycle of poverty that they can't escape, and he knows that it's only but so much that they can. And this is he's like, I know that there's only so much that they can do to a degree, but it's about everybody making their own choices and making the best of it. And he doesn't. This final card is just saying like there's not so much he's not like dissatisfied with the efforts that the black community has made in terms of its social progress, but he is still pushing his he's like, if there are a spectrum of things that people are supposed to be working on, education, housing, so on and so forth, this and this, he's like, food and our health, the way we're taking care of ourselves, our bodies, let's start there, because that's something that he feels is easy to do. All right, so with Michelle Obama, she's more so focused on education. And I'm saying it as she feels that we need more males, more stand-up men in the community, teaching young boys and young girls male figure, like important male figures, because she feels like there's a lack of respect for black male authority in society, and she doesn't want to see that reflected within our community, that lack of authority. So in addition to that, education is incredibly important to her, where I'm hearing her say, like, education is full of all these white women teachers, like, we need to increase, we need to better educate African Americans so that they can um, we can send them off into these different education programs to produce more teachers so that we can have black teachers teaching these black children. I see it as kind of like her saying that. And in addition to that, her also feeling like we need more respect for black male authority. And I think that seeing her husband's treatment helped her to understand how white sexism and white patriarchy still damage black male identity and black masculinity. I also see her feeling like, black people, they should travel more and get out more. It's like, she's like, they need to have more passports, go see more places. When you get money, pay for a trip if you can. Save up for a trip if you can, or make it your goal, your aim to save up for a trip if you can. And I'm also seeing her feeling like on a spiritual level, it's something, she's like, spiritually there's a disconnect there with the people. They are dispirited because of the conditions in which they live in. I see her having a very realistic approach to this, where she's like, not realistic, but it's a very sociological approach to sociological understanding of this. And she's like, these systems are, making people sick, and we have to fix them. We have to provide them with, as my husband said, good nutrition, good food. And we need to teach them strategies to help them maintain their, help them to manifest economic preservation. And I'm also saying for myself, we need to re-educate and also reshape our education system, because education is power, so on and so forth. But yeah, she also feels like there's a spiritual disconnect there, that she feels that there needs to be, and she doesn't, and this is what I'm hearing, she doesn't have a solution for this, and she hasn't even thought about it that deeply, but intuitively she knows that African Americans are spiritually disconnected from any. It's like that's everybody of any race is spiritually disconnected. We're just explaining Michelle Obama's thoughts on the black community, but she's saying that the black people are spiritually disconnected and they need to find something to ground themselves, whether that is Allah, Jesus Christ, Oshun, whoever. But she's like, there needs to be a spiritual grounding there, because they are unable, they don't have because their spiritual consciousness is not heightened, they don't have the awareness to know how important education, eating, economic preservation is to them, nor do they know how trapped they might be in the system, but nor can they hear that it's a both and, not either or. It's both about the system is working against you, and it's about making the choice to rework the system, even though we don't know what if these solutions are going to work. So, with that said, what next are they going to do for black Americans? Nothing. To be straight up honest with y'all, nothing. And this could change in the next year, because I only try to really, intuitively in my head, I'm only reading for 6 months to a year out. I don't see them doing anything. I see them kind of leaving the black community behind, kind of just like, we did what we could, sort of thing. I did what I could. I did the most that I was supposed to do. Mission accomplished. I'm the symbol, not the leader. That's what I hear Barack Obama saying. I'm the symbol, I'm not the leader. I'm the symbol, I'm not the leader of the community. I don't see more work opportunities. I don't see things being expanded. I don't see any. Again, I saw Michelle wanting to do something with media, but I don't see any of that happening. I see all of that changing because of that. They got a reading through a priest or something, and there's a lot of traveling. A lot of traveling and a lot of fighting against feeling like they're obligated to doing more than just traveling and having an easy job. I wish there was more that I could say. There ain't more than I can say. I pulled more cards. Let me see. Is there more I can say? No. They're traveling. Money is not an issue for them. They get a lot of stuff for free, and money just comes to them. They are stacking their paper and working on, the marriage. And I mean, in terms of working on, I mean, it's just bringing the lust back to the marriage, and I think there might be a vow renewal at some point. But no, I don't see the black community is like that is not even on. That's not even in their heads right now. All right. What do they think of Donald Trump? Also, please let me know what other questions you all have for Barack and Michelle Obama. I want to do a follow-up reading on Barack and Michelle. So please leave your questions in the comment section. Okay, so what do they think of Donald Trump? With Donald Trump, they feel that he's a virus that has infiltrated the political system. But they also feel very hopeful that he's going to shed a lot of light on some of the fuckery in the White. That's how I hear it. The fuckery in the White House. It's like there are some things that are just fucked up, that just worked in fucked up ways. There are dirty things that people can do, and he's hoping. Barack Obama is specifically hoping that Donald Trump can continue acting a fool and being reckless, because he knows that things will still be intact as far as the American political system. It's like there are other people that will do their jobs. There's there's a way that things can still function. Like the White House may be dysfunctional, but because he's worked in the White House for 8 years, he knows if things ever, like, things can only get but so out of control. It's like, things can only get but so out of control, and even if they reach a level 10, the country's not going to shut down. But he is happy that the media is trying to cover each and every little detail about the dirty things that any political party can do with their power. Now, Michelle feels like Donald and his wife made it into the White House. She's like, they should never have made it into the White House. And she's like, clearly, they got there off of their white privilege. And she's like, my husband had to do X, Y, Z, da-da-da-da, this, and this. I had to deal with these and these allegations. When they suspected my husband of cheating, I had to say this. When people brought this up about my home, I had to say, it's like, she's like, it's pure white privilege. And it's not even, she's not thinking about, Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. She's thinking about it in terms of the things that Donald Trump had to do to succeed to be candidate versus her husband. She's like, they've lived two completely different lifestyles. And that's what it's about for her. She's like, they lived two completely different lifestyles. And it's clear that his life was very much shaped by racism and sexism. And She's like, white privilege made them immune to it. They were just camouflaged through it. Look at where they are. They made it all the way to the top. And she's like, she feels like this has cast a cloud of darkness over Americans. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like Donald Trump. She feels like he's trashy. Like, she's like, he's garbage to me. Like foul. Those sorts of words. And they would definitely love to see him impeached. I mean, this card always talks about breakups, but they would like to see him impeached and like just ousted out. But they want him to stay until everything comes out from the shadows. It's like there's more that they need to be revealed before they would feel satisfied with him getting out. It's like, okay, we don't want him out we don't want him out that early, because everything will be okay, but we do want him out. Okay. So what strategies do Barack and Michelle Obama use to stay in the room? So I will explain the room in a second. Okay. The room is a metaphor that I may have stolen it, but I know there's a sermon by Sarah Jakes Roberts where she talks about, I can't remember it, but it's probably called Still Fighting. And she's saying that there are certain strategies that you must have in order to stay in the room. The room is a place where you feel like you don't deserve to be there. I felt like, for example, I was 22 when I started my doctorate program, and I was the youngest in my cohort, and I didn't feel like I deserved to be in the room, but I was in the room with all these other people who were very educated. The oldest person in my cohort has a Juris Doctorate from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's an established attorney. And so I was like, wow. So with all that being said, I'm in the room. How do I stay in the room? So we're going to ask, what strategies do Barack Obama and Michelle Obama use to stay in the room? Because it's great that you might have your purpose and you're in the room to fulfill your purpose, by being a symbol, but what strategies do you use to stay in the room? One strategy that they use to stay in the room, they don't cooperate with everybody. They are cordial with everyone, but they don't cooperate with everyone. Meaning that cooperate. Okay, they don't go to the bar with everyone just because. They don't talk to everyone just because. They're not chummy with everyone just because. They are very strategic about their alliances and their allegiances. They cooperate with people who are similar spirits of their species. And a lot of the time that is going to be determined upon political lines, but they very much like being around people who are like them. People who are enigmatic, people who are very articulate, people who have a sense of humor, and people who like to listen to music. Another thing about them is that this is specifically from Michelle. Michelle never allows for herself to come off as lofty. And a lot of people perceive her to be a very uppity black woman. And they do perceive her to be an uppity black woman. And she thinks of it as, I've heard, and this is what I hear, people wouldn't call me a monkey if they didn't think that I was an uppity black woman. They're saying the opposite of what I am to try to diminish me and to get me to think I'm something that I'm not. That's how I see her processing it. So she remains humble at all times, and it's because she never wants to come off as lofty. because she knows that she looks lofty, and she is a lofty person, but she tries to remain humble. So they don't cooperate with everyone. Michelle tries to remain humble. Another thing is they make sure that they are in circles where they are always the center of attention, where they're the leaders. And that helps to establish that. See, in these political spheres, this is what I'm hearing. In these political spheres, everybody is fighting to be the best. Everyone is fighting to be the most charismatic or in the spotlight and have the most power and influence. They try to hang out in circles of powerful people where they can have the most influence. And a lot of the times, they have the most influence because they're the only black people in those particular circles. Anyway, Barack and Michelle, another thing that they do, they are extremely cultured. I don't know if they speak other languages, but they know survival language, and they are very well read. They actually take a lot of notes on people's conversations, and they remember them. And they might use, it's like, oh, I learned this today. You know, somebody brought this up. And it's kind of like, they study high culture, okay? They're not really into high culture, but they study high culture, all right? H-I-G-H, high. They study high culture. And they know those things because other people know those things. They know the finest wines. Heck, sometimes they might even make up a wine. But they have become acclimated to low class, middle class living, and they make their way. They climb their way into another echelon of things to where, you know, people can't outsmart them. You know, such as oh, have you ever been here? Did you know this? Did you know this? And please believe me, even though these people are Lord, you know, Ivy League educated attorneys, please believe me that because of racism, people try to figure out the areas in which Barack Obama and Michelle Obama may not be as knowledgeable. They're like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what, you know, not know this sort of history, not know about this country, sort of thing. Another thing is they didn't always stay around each other. You will know that they're a couple, but they definitely she does her own thing, he does his own thing. They are two individuals, okay? So they are a power couple. He's a powerful person, she's a powerful person. It's not a codependent relationship where both of their it's like they're not intertwined with each other to where they're both zapping energy from one another. Michelle zaps it from other people. But with that being said, Barack and Michelle, they take time away from one another to mix and mingle with different friends, and they operate they know how to operate well as individuals. They give each other strategies as individuals, and they operate as a unit, and they have their own game plan for how they're going to act, react, speak, how long they're going to stay out, what they're going to do, how much they're going to eat, how much they're going to drink around these people. Is very strategic. And the final thing is they always chose to be in the spotlight. They always took the opportunity to be in the spotlight. Yes, I will MC this. Yes, I will chair this. Yes, I will donate to this. Yes, I will sign this. Yes, I will take this photo. They are very much about publicity. They like publicity. They like being in the public eye. And they like being in the camera much more than any other presidents have wanted to. They want to saturate social media. And they feel like that definitely gives them an advantage. They feel that youth culture helps keep them hip. And that's another thing that keeps them in the room. They not only know high culture, they know youth culture as well, because that will keep them in, that guarantees that they will be in the spotlight, because people always, you know, different companies always will, especially entertainment, always has to market towards a youth or young adult demographic. So with all that being said, Is there anything else about them staying in the room? And Spirit is like, look, they got a lot of information. So I'm going to pull these last 2 cards and keep going. So another thing that Barack and Michelle do to stay in the room. One thing that they stay in the room is when there's someone that betrays them, they cut them off immediately. Okay, and it's even the smallest betrayal. Your character is, look, your first impression should be your best impression. In addition to that, if you lie to them, even a white lie, that will reflect on your character with them. Now, that's all to say that they have to play it safe. You know, in their marriage, it's okay for Barack Obama to white lie to somebody. I mean, Michelle knows her husband, but they don't know you like that. So, in order for you to stay in the room, you must handle everyone with the long handled spoon. If you are not married to them, if they are not your family member, you cannot trust them like that. They are not trustworthy. So, take everything with a grain of salt. You know, even people's loyalty. Don't take the loyalty personally. Accept that loyalty for that day because they may not be loyal to you tomorrow. These are the techniques they use to stay in the room. And these techniques were all inspired out of politics. So these techniques may not be valuable to someone that's not working outside of politics or an industry that's not socially and intellectually competitive in this way. So the final thing is a deep appreciation for women and listening to women. There's a level of care and sincerity that Barack Obama practices when he deals with women, speaks to women, and talks to women, and that has helped him to stay in the room. There have been women that have vouched for him at the last minute. There have been women that have defended him. At times, he definitely should have been defended. And I'm hearing it being about his treatment, his level of care, and that being charming to them. So that being another strategy that's been helpful for Barack Obama. So there was one, I think, that was specific for Michelle Obama that I talked about. So I guess it was good to be even in that way. All right, so now I'm going to talk about what approach do they take to dealing with racial microaggressions. Okay, some of you may not know what microaggressions are. I don't particularly have time to educate you, but very simply put, microaggressions are casual remarks or insults that work to decenter, stigmatize, or stereotype an individual on the basis of some sort of sociological factor, their race, class, gender, age, status, so on and so forth. Go look up a BuzzFeed video about microaggressions. There's a 2-minute BuzzFeed video about microaggressions. Go and look it up if you don't know what they are. But in particular, how do they deal with racial and gender microaggressions? It's how we all. It's like they hold it all in. They hold it all in, and they talk about it. When those things happen to them, they definitely log it about the person. They hold it against the person, absolutely. They do think that, it can be they do think that, look, they hold it against these people, but they're not against, teaching you. They're not against forgiving you, But with that being said, it leaves them feeling trapped and tied up, kind of like, on one hand, these are things that just happen, and, it's not as, microaggressions are not as vicious as the things that were said and happened to me, 30 years ago. But I don't, this is a new type of racism and sexism that I'm having to deal with. And I think because they don't know how to exactly process it as older people, they discuss it amongst each other. So I don't know if they have any strategies, to be exact. They're saying, be quiet about it, so that, be quiet and address it in a way that it doesn't block your opportunities. They're also saying, make sure that you don't have a temper. It's okay to be angry, but don't express your temper when dealing with it, or else the people are gonna flee from you and never learn their lesson. And I'm also seeing them saying that, you wanna, if they go low, we go high, and just work on trying to cooperate with that person. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's how they deal with it. This ain't about me, but this is about them. So with that being said, I'll repeat it for you. They don't address it in a way that's going to block your future opportunities. Don't be immature about it. Don't get hot-headed. Don't let them see your temper. If they do see your temper, they will flee, may not learn anything, and they will do it again to someone else. They're also saying sometimes it's just best to they go low, we go high, and just rise above. I fly above. And this is saying cooperation is the most important. Even when you're passionate and you're angry, it's just most important to cooperate, find the common ground, and tell them, not to do it again. All right, so that's the end of this reading for Barack and Michelle Obama. I want to thank you all for helping me to make YouTube partner. So please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com and purchase a private psychic reading. And I will see you all again either on a Tuesday or a Friday at 12 p.m. Bye. I just want to fly away. First class out of space.